Super. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Concordia University's ForSpace, and thank you for joining us for today's event, next episode of the Iron Ring, today with Riya Dutta. To help situate you, we are streaming to YouTube live from ForSpace, and we are located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. In ForSpace, we work with our university community to help mobilize knowledge, co-create daily activities that examine research questions, projects in development here at the university. We're running this event today as a live stream meeting. So if you have any comments or questions in the Zoom, just put them into the chat and we'll do our best to get them over to our podcasters and anyone in the space. If you have any questions, we'll get a mic to you. With that, it's very much my pleasure to hand it over to our hosts of the Iron Ring podcast. We have Emilia, Alexandra, Srabanti. Thank you.
Thank you. And hello, welcome back to another episode of the Iron Ring. I'm your host, Emilia.
I'm Alexandra.
I'm Srab.
And today we have Riya Dutta. She is a Concordia alumni and also former Women in Engineering president, which is really awesome for us. Just before we begin, though, we'd like to obviously thank this ForSpace for always allowing us to film here and do our podcast here. Check out their website. They have a lot of cool events. So yeah, thank you again for coming today. It was really, honestly, when we were talking about this before, you've come to some of our events in general, but it's cool to have a nice conversation kind of situation. So we'd like to kind of talk about, what you've done, your kind of background. So I know you studied here. You obtained a software engineering degree and also a master's in software engineering here at Concordia. So can you, before we kind of get into your research, can you tell us a little bit about your experience being here, part of Women in Engineering during your undergrad and everything? Can you give us a bit of insight on how that was?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I always love coming to the WIE events. It's so close to the heart. I feel like you'll feel that way once you graduate, I think.
Yeah, I feel like we will. We've done this a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love coming back. It's like you leave WIE, but WIE never leaves you, So it's really great to be back for all these events. And I'm not opposed to coming back again. So,
We'll keep that. We'll make sure everyone in the team knows.
Yeah, good. Because I feel like the other presidents, I knew them because I was still in school, but you guys, I think you started school after I graduated, so it feels like a disconnect. So I'm glad to still be connected. So it's good, to have this network.
You'll always be connected. As you said, you'll always be connected. Don't stress.
But through our hearts, right?
Exactly.
And through LinkedIn.
Especially through LinkedIn.
Well, since we were talking about the WIE, I'll answer your question. I think the experience was incredible. I'm sure you can all attest to that, right? It's still going on for you. But I think I joined WIE because when I was in university and when I was having these classes, I remember feeling that in all my group projects and in these various activities I was doing around school, I wasn't interacting with a lot of girls, or there weren't a lot of girls I was friends with. And this is something I wasn't used to because when I was younger, I went to an all-girls school. So I was so used to being around girls and having, these friendships. So this is the main reason I joined WIE to form these relationships. And I'm so glad I did, because then it was just another world, right? And I think in engineering especially, we don't really learn about EDI in the sense that, not at all. And I think it's so important.
There's no class.
Yeah. Right. I think there's this one class about impact of technology on society, right? That one class, I took that in my last semester, right? And but we don't really learn it. And I think even the abbreviation EDI, I learned it at WIE. When I started school, it wasn't even called the Gina Cody School. It was just called
That's true.
ENC. I'm not that old.
No. It's just that I forget how recent the change was for the name. It's
I was
recent.
there. You can see photos, we met Gina, and I remember we were told first that oh yeah, it's gonna be changed to the name of the woman, and we were informed before the people, and it was really cool. Yeah, it was really cool, and to be there for that big event. I think I've always come back to for the Gina Cody School Day as well, because I was there since the beginning. So it's really nice. But yeah, back then it wasn't even called the Gina Cody School. So I think there's this lack of awareness about EDI, especially because in this field where we create so many things, we like are building products, we're trying to better society with our innovation, with creation. There is lack of awareness of who this innovation is, who this creation is for, and who's building it. So yeah, that was apart from the social side, the aspect of like meeting women and like interacting with women, which was amazing and still is. It was the awareness of EDI that I learned through this, and I think that's where it really became like I really became more passionate about it as well, to be like, okay, this is our cause and it's an important cause, and because I'm also part of like leading the change. So my involvement started through there.
No, that's awesome. And I feel like when you join an organization like Women in Engineering, like you said, you get a bigger sense of community with a program that's very male dominated in general too. And you meet, like, I went to an all girls school also. So I feel like the drastic change afterwards was very drastic. But with that being said, I feel like you join a society, you kind of figure out what you like to do. And with that, can you say the positions you were also in before becoming president?
Sure. So I actually started when I first came to the elections. I wanted to do a director role because I wasn't, but then I just did VP. So I started as VP internal, and then I became president.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Quick route. You're like, yes, that's exactly what I want to do.
I mean, what can you do, right?
But if you enjoyed it too, and that's what you wanted to do, then
yeah. I mean, it was tough. You guys are presidents.
No. We're
vice presidents of the experience team.
Yeah.
Okay, you're experienced.
I'm director.
Director of experience. Okay,
Yes.
makes sense. Okay, yeah, this position did not exist back
No,
then.
it's new for us too. Like it just existed like pretty much now.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like-
specifically.
No, exactly. I feel like it was a new thing. We wanted to do a podcast, and the year before me, they started it through, I think, this like the social team, and then it got separated, and then we also added competition. So then that's kind of merged together now.
Yeah, honestly, that's amazing to see too, because like the team has expanded so much. I think every year there's like new positions added because more people want to be involved, and that's what you want, right? Like you want people's
Exactly.
involvement, and this podcast didn't exist back then, so it's great that this exists now too. So
It's
That's
a
pretty
source of
cool.
like a voice too, like you get to talk around. That's why we like having people, on this podcast with different backgrounds, different experiences. And I feel like it will, for those who do listen, they can hear different opinions. And then like when we have it with also the fourth space, like they are able to broadcast this to another demographic too, which is really cool. Cause obviously with just engineering, it's very like
yeah,
the Gina Cody school. It's like, it's very Gina Cody school. You don't really interact with many people outside too. So
yeah.
it's cool to get that kind of demographic out. And so I'm glad that your experience here was good. I mean, clearly it was good because you come back to our events,
Yeah, but it was stressful. Like I was my president my last semester, so you're ready to graduate, you're looking for a job, so that was very stressful. I was doing WIE is like a full-time job altogether. It's like
That's what all the presidents have been like. It's a full-time thing.
yeah, and I wasn't like co-president, it was just me, so it was yeah. Yeah, it has this like pros and cons, right? So it was a lot of work, and I was doing like all 5 courses, and then I was also working part-time back then as a developer, and then I would volunteer on the weekends to like for 4 hours for like to teach girls and women how to code. So it was a busy year.
But that's awesome though. That's like you putting, I'm sure you probably stretch yourself a bit thin sometimes, but like, I feel like it's good experiences too.
It is, yeah. I think I learned that you got to balance it out and kind of pick and choose what you want. I think after my first semester, actually, I quit my job. Like instead of, quitting all these things, I quit my job. I was like, I can work all my life, but I can't do this all my life.
That's a good mentality though to kind of have when you're a student, because I feel like people always want to rush into work, but then you don't always get these
Yeah.
opportunities to do this as well. So
Yeah, I think as humans, we have this like tendency to look forward to things and, like sort of start planning the future, except like living and feeling the feelings that we're having now, so yeah, that was tough. And also not everyone has the privilege of being able to quit their job and continue this and spend time on this, so there's that. But yeah, it was definitely stressful, but so worth it. And then also COVID hit during that time when I was graduating in 2020. That was 2 weeks before our iron ring ceremony is when they close the schools.
We did have overlapping then because I started in that semester.
Okay.
There was one overlap, but that was a terrible semester.
Yeah, that was I think like we went to school on a Thursday and then we just didn't know it was the last time you're gonna see all your friends. And because for us, like we're graduating, everyone was starting their jobs and then going different places. And then all of a sudden we were like, oh yeah, see you at the iron ring. And then, we got our nails done and everything. And then we didn't see each other at the iron ring.
That's actually so sad.
It is, yeah.
I mean, especially the last time.
Yeah,
Did you have an iron ring ceremony though?
Yeah, so since we were the first group to like, lose it to COVID, they were like, no, we can't, like, what are we gonna do? So we waited, and then a year after, they're like, you know what, we'll just do it online. So we did it online, and
Online?
yeah, it was something.
Was it fun?
It was different. But like, you'll see, like you're supposed to like hold this like thing, and you're supposed to say the oath, and they were like, hold your devices. So we just held our laptop, and so it was very different.
I know a few people who also graduated even after that when they were doing all of the online ceremonies. And one of my close friends, she did the iron ring ceremony also online. So the whole like hold your laptop stuff. And then now she's wants to come see my ceremony when it happens.
yeah.
And she'll get to actually see it in person afterwards.
Oh
which is
yeah,
kinda
that's
cool.
nice. Yeah, it's also very like close guarded sort of, because
Yeah.
they're like, you can't, like not everyone can attend.
Yeah.
It's very like specific. So anyway, that's another thing.
We'll get there soon. This semester, because we're graduating soon.
Oh,
She's a
Oh,
baby. She's just started.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's all gonna be good. Don't worry.
Just 4 more years.
Good luck to you both. Yeah, that's gonna
Thank
be
you.
fun.
We're looking forward to it, I think.
Yeah.
Leaving.
Yeah, I mean, capstone. So it's also
Yeah,
that time of the year.
right.
The last semester, last
Yeah.
push. you
Yeah,
know.
what engineering are all you guys in?
So we're in mechanical.
Okay,
I'm in software.
okay.
Yeah.
She liked you. You
Yeah,
got
and I
it.
also went to
Yeah.
girls' school, so that's crazy.
Yeah.
The pipeline.
No, it's really cool. I feel like how everyone's like I mean, we have different backgrounds than you guys, but
Mhm.
like there's a lot of things we can obviously still relate on. So I feel like with that, I know that you did your master's here too, and you did a lot of research on topics that I feel like are very only now kind of getting put into, the medias and stuff like that. So can you talk a little bit about the research that you've done?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been talking about my research for like 3 years now. I feel like, but it's good. It's good, right? We want to get this information out there, and we
course,
want people to know. So just getting into my master's was such a journey.
Mm.
Okay. My research, in the broader sense, was about EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusion in software engineering, and I didn't even know at first you could do a research like this, especially because my degree was MASc, Masters of Applied Science in Software Engineering.
Okay.
Okay, so it was a technical degree, but with a focus on EDI. And after I graduated, actually in in 2020 during COVID, my professor from that one course, the Technology and Society course, that one course, she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, do you want to do a master's?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not."
No chance.
Yeah, I'm done with studying. Like 4 years was enough. I was doing co-op, so I had no
Hectic.
breaks. Yeah, so you understand how it is, right? I had no breaks, and I wanted to go see my family like in India too, and just no time at all. So I was like, no. And then she reached out again, and then she was like, "What if I fund you?" And I was like, "Okay, maybe."
Talking.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a big aspect, right? Financial aspect. It's really, I was like, I have no money to do a master's, so it's expensive. Plus, she talked to me about, she saw that I had this background in engineering, but I was so involved in school with all these EDI things, and she was like, "I think we could do something with that." And that really interested me because I still really wanted to stay in STEM. Like I wanted to stay in science. I wanted to have a technical degree, but I didn't know it was possible to do this while still focusing on EDI,
Yeah.
So for anyone looking to do a master's, this would be good to know. Yeah.
Was there anything that kind of pushed you to focus on EDI in general? Was there like a situation for you that just was like, this is what I want to like really look into, or was it just kind of broad?
I think it's the fact that I had the freedom to sort of get into this topic and be able to, I'm not sure, I've never seen a thesis like this before. So my master's was a thesis master's, and I don't think I've ever seen one, at least at the Gina Cody School, that is so like social science focused, but in engineering, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that felt really amazing to me because it was kind of, in a sense, like very new and unexplored. So I like that idea. Instead of like focusing on something specific, I like the idea of being able to sort of bring what I really believe in, like my passion for, you know, promoting EDI and advancing EDI into academia.
And what were like the key observations that you kind of made through this research?
Okay, so my specific research was, so you have to focus your research really a lot, right? So it can't be general, just EDI and software. So my research was about diversity in software engineering research. More specifically, we look at software engineering research with participants. So any research that involved study participants, so like interviews, surveys, whatever, you know? And we looked at if diversity was at all considered in research. Okay, like what do they consider about these participants? Do they ask them their gender, their age, you know? What do they ask these participants? And do they consider it, like, do they just ask them and that's it, just to ask them? Or do they actually use this in their research, the information that they gather, to say that, okay, our observation is just for like, our participants were just 90% men and 10% women, and that's how our observation was, or do they not mention it at all, right? So we wanted to look at that. So for that, we look at research papers and we did a preliminary study. So first, we just did a study with 25 research papers. And after we did the study, I presented it in one of my master's courses to a class that was interdisciplinary. So it had students from JMSB, from, you know, the arts and science. So all different kinds of students. And when I presented it, the people from not engineering were shocked. Like they couldn't believe it. They were like, in engineering, you don't, like when you do a survey, you don't get the gender, you don't get the age. For them, because their practices of surveying is so established, for them it's just, you know, like absolutely like unimaginable to see this. So it showed like a big gap, and like in engineering, it's such common practice for us to just be like, okay, no, we just care about the participants' educational background, their, you know, their occupation, but we don't care about their social diversity background.
It's interesting.
Yeah, right. It is interesting, and that gave us like a big like, oh wow, so this is really, you know, unexplored in that sense, and so that's what I researched, and we found out that we didn't look at diversity as just like, oh, these are the 5 diversity categories we're going to check for. It's not just, you know, we're looking for gender, age, whatever is mentioned of the participants. We looked at it from a point of view that was, okay, so there's this professional diversity that's being considered, which is occupation, you know, experience, work experience. And then there's this social diversity, age, gender, race, location, you know, language, all these different things. And we found out that in engineering, well, in software engineering specifically, there was more professional diversity considered over social diversity. And that's something to really look at, because when you're creating software, I mean, when you're creating anything, but especially software, like, you know, AI or anything, you want to be able to consider these factors to make sure that the product that you're creating is made for everyone and not just a focus group. And you want to make sure that people creating the product are also diverse in their background to be able to create a product that is for everyone and not just, you know, for a group of people.
I find what's interesting is like, usually when people talk about, you know, maybe let's take away the gender from this and be like, you only care about the professional side. At the end of the day, you go into an industry that's still very dominated, maybe on one side, you're still going to have that bias without realizing that you're ignoring the bias. Like, we don't care if you're a woman, we don't care if you're a man, we don't care whatever age, but you're still implementing a bias through that by just saying like, okay, your professional background, but you know, you're like you said, you're neglecting an entire other kind of study that is relevant for a demographic, like you said, like a product, whether again, software, whether it's something else, you're neglecting something. But it's funny because people say, but who cares? Like now they want to ignore the gender and be like, just go for the professional side. Like you don't care what you are, but then if you ignore that, then you have, again, the bias. It's like a circle, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad you brought that up actually, because like people say, you know, why do we care? We don't want to see a difference. But the fact is, I mean, through our research, the point wasn't to say like, oh, you need to have every single diversity category in your research, and then only your research is going to be great. it's hard to do that. Like in reality, it's not easy, and it's not easy to get a diverse set of participants. However, the point was to at least the research participants you have, at least get some of their background to see what you have, like if you have these 10 research participants, it's fine. If you have, 9 men and 1 woman, it's fine. But you need to say that our study was done on 9 men and 1 woman, and that is what we can say about our results. It's to make the research more transparent. So that's the idea for now.
It's also like saying if you give a survey to someone who's, a CEO of a company and someone who's just starting their career, very different professional backgrounds, but like
Exactly.
you're both in the same industry. So it's like you're completely neglecting another aspect as well. So I feel like when people want to separate and be like, we don't care about this, but you actually need to understand, like you said, make it transparent, like you're going to create something and then you're only targeting very few people, even though you assume because they're all in the same industry that it's going to target everybody, but it won't.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's also sometimes like different things that we don't think of because it doesn't apply to us. So for one of the studies that we studied, it was really interesting because they were looking at like a debugging software, okay? And, like when you're coding, like things are very visual, like different lines are different colors. And so one of the responses they got from one of their participants was that I'm colorblind, so I can't see the differentiation you make in the warning signs in the software. And that was such a thing to consider, right? Because you might not think of this thing if you're not going through this, if you're not colorblind, and you might just have colors thinking, oh, these are pretty and these are nice. But that's something, if we're creating something visual that's on a screen, we might really need to consider. And that's something that people might not think of apart from just going about gender or race or age.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
That's
either.
true. I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, so those are the little things you need to consider. So at the end of so we had these conclusions, and then we also proposed a diversity awareness model. So we created this model that researchers could use to self-assess their level of diversity awareness, so they can see how diversity aware their research is. So, just to see. And then we also propose these questions that they can, like these guiding questions that can help them see if they are considering diversity within their research.
And do you think they noticed that? Did they notice that they weren't, or they were?
I mean, so that was our study. That was that was my paper. And I think we would need another study to see if researchers like use this. And I think it would be really interesting to see, or to apply this model and these questions in researchers, like in research, and study if what happens.
Like a second, whoever is next in the,
Yeah,
wants to study
I mean-
Strava, this could be you in the future. You never know.
Yeah.
Also, we know that you published work about your time at the International Conference of Software Engineering in Australia. Can you share details about that?
Yeah. So when during my time at my master's, I published a research paper at ICSE. We call it the International Conference of Software Engineering. It's one of the biggest software engineering conferences, and it's at a different place every year. And last year it was in Australia, which is lucky for me because then I got to go to Australia.
That's really cool. I wanted to go.
Yeah. So that's one of the things if you do research, and you publish a paper, and then you get like an expenses paid trip to wherever you're.
It's like, ooh, research.
Yeah. So that was like a big research conference where I presented my work. It's very scary because it's really big, and people from around the world come to present their research, and I published there in my master's, which I found out is very rare. Usually, like people in their PhD publish there. So that was like pretty cool.
You're like, this is new.
Yeah.
Something new.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah. It was really good. I had a lot of fun. I had never presented at a conference before. It's totally different crowd, right? Because they're like all these really smart people, and then you're like, am I a really smart people now?
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah. But it's a good time.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I feel like people who don't know about these kinds of conferences, they probably don't get the chance unless they do, like you said, the research.
Yeah.
But it's a cool opportunity to be there and like experience that.
I think academia in general is so like it's very sort of, people don't know much about it. You know, I didn't either. These conferences, like, I didn't know about this. My supervisor told me, oh, this conference is coming up. And usually that's how you find out, because of all, you know, once you're in academia, then you get to know about academia, which is kind of sad because there's so much to explore. Like, I myself didn't consider academia at all until I was really like encouraged by my prof to go into it, you know?
I feel like a lot of people don't also know what they want to do after like their
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if any of, I know I don't think right now I want to do a master's, but like I think in the future maybe like an MBA, you know, like that's something
Mhm.
else, but that's also, things could change very easily. I don't know what you think, if you're gonna do one or not.
Well, yeah, like I always considered not doing one, but then you never know. Like I remember someone telling me it all depends, like if you get approached, like you said, by someone who wants to be your supervisor, or if you have an idea of a project that actually you're very passionate about, that's when you should go into doing a master's. Otherwise, like I feel maybe some people are just like, oh, let me try a master's out, but then I don't know, maybe I'll work a few years and then see.
Well, I mean, I think there's just different perspectives to that, because I think I was at the same perspective. I was like, I don't want to study anymore. I just want to, you know, I just want to work. But I'm so glad I got into this master's. So there's different kinds of masters you can do. So there's the MEng, okay, which is engineering, which is course based. So you don't have a thesis to do, you just do courses, okay? And maybe that's a good master's if you want to specialize in something like for software, it's like cybersecurity. If you want to do that, you know, you could do that. And also it gives you some extra time to sort of, you know, chill, take your time, like have, when you're in university, you have so much extra time that you don't realize. Like you have so much freedom in the time that you have, you know, in the sense that you're not working 9 to 5 every single day. It's like a different schedule and you can kind of mold it to what you want. When you work, it's always that. And then you have to like take time off for vacation and, you know, it's a whole thing. So there's that. And then there's a thesis based, which is, you know, you have to have a thesis. And it's not necessary that you need a professor to approach you. I think that's actually kind of rare for professors to come like ask you to be, especially in engineering. So I had co-supervisors, I had 2 supervisors that were supervising me. So one of them was from like from Gina Cody School, but engineering and society, like so that department, and then one from software engineering. And so it's kind of rare for supervisors, but you can always approach a supervisor. You know, you can, if you're thinking of doing a master's, if anyone is thinking of doing a master's, you can always approach a supervisor that you like and then talk to them. And honestly, you don't really need to have an idea. Maybe you need to have an idea of like, you know, you read their work, and if you find something interested in their work, they can tell you these are the projects we have available. If you like, you can do it. And you usually get 1 year to do courses, and then you can sort of develop your interest and see what you want to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do until after a year in my master's, you know. So you can take your time and then sort of go into it. And it's really, I think master's is less of a commitment than a PhD. Like a PhD, okay, you really need to know what you want to do. You need to like it. Master's, it's like exploratory. You know, you're like, okay, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, maybe I'll learn what research is about. Research is pretty cool. That's what I found out. You know, you get to travel, you know, it's nice, it's a good time. And no, I'm just not necessarily selling, but I feel like there's all these misconceptions, right? And I want to make people more aware and inform people about this, because I've had such a good experience, and I want to share that with people to say like, hey, you know, if you don't know what you want to do, this might be a good opportunity to try something and to be able to like get out there without, you know, necessarily having the pressure of having a job and being in a job for like 50 years. So whatever, you know, you're going to be working for so long, right? But coming back to school is, I think, really, really hard.
Yeah, I definitely agree that if you're not sure of what to do after your bachelor's degree, it is a great opportunity to go into the master's, because you do specialize more. And I feel like that's when people really get a sense of what they are meant to do, what they're more passionate about, is really when they specialize more into something. It's like going from high school to CJEP to university, you know, like you specialize so much and it like you really understand more what you're passionate about. So
Yeah, I mean, there's the specialization aspect for sure. I think that's very that's like an obvious one, but I think there's much more to a master's than that. I think when you go into research like that, this is specifically about a research master's, you learn so many different skills that I don't think you would learn otherwise. Like, you know, I think a lot of critical thinking skills go into research because you're doing science research. You have to be scientific. You cannot just say whatever you want. You know, as much as I would like to say, like, this is bad and this is good, you can't say that. You have to be like, okay, these are the results. And then, you know, kind of draw the conclusion and there's a lot of also like public speaking. There's this communication of science, which is hard, right? Like you're in mechanical engineering. Imagine like talking about your work to like people that like don't know anything about engineering.
My parents.
Yeah,
Explaining
exactly.
to your parents.
Right.
Crazy.
Explaining to your parents, your friends, your siblings, right? It's really hard. So you learn how to do that effectively and efficiently and in a manner that is, you know, useful for people out there because you want them to learn this information. You want them to know. So you learn all these like presentation skills and all these different kinds of skills that you might not learn somewhere else, you know?
I feel like that's a big issue with most engineers. We don't know how to do the public speaking and present, and we
Yeah.
always like speak with these terms that no one understands.
We don't have a class that like has that experience really that much besides maybe a few projects and some opportunities. Like I think for us, even doing capstone, for example, you're doing a lot of research and then for us, we're really manufacturing something. And then afterwards we present it, but we're presenting it to people who understand what we're talking about. And then if I bring up just the title of our capstone project to my parents or my sister, then they're like, oh, okay, can you like explain more behind it? And it's super technical. And I feel like it's a great skill to have to be able to, you know, not dumb it down in a way, but explain it in a way that actually is very clear to people, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like in engineering, we're so limited in terms of like what we have, you know, the courses we could take, the extra courses we could take. And it's kind of okay because we have already so many courses to take, right? But yeah, we're lacking the public speaking skills, the EDI awareness skills, right? All these classes that we really need, like we don't get.
We only have, I think, one, at least for MEC, we only have one general elective, which can give you the opportunity to go somewhere else. But that one, usually people go for like, I want an easy class and like just get a good GPA instead of it being like something that I'm very interested in. And even at that, but a lot of people don't actually know, which is I found out last year that if you want to do a technical elective you're allowed to do one from a different engineering program. So if it's not in your list of required technical electives, you can go outside and do one. And so right now I'm doing a building engineering class about something with legal, like legality and stuff, which is something that we don't get taught at all. So it's like other engineerings also have specific classes that might be useful even to us, but we don't have that opportunity. So if anyone listens and they want to do that, you can look into one at least in your degree, which is, in my opinion, I think it could be useful, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I took a business course and I think I took a management course, but it's also so limited in terms of time. I had to take mine in the summer and, you know, like you're like, okay, this is the time and this is what fits in my schedule. And then I have all these other activities that are surrounded. So yeah, it's pretty tough. Like, it's not to say, you know, it's bad, but it's just really tough.
I mean, I feel like you have to know about these things to really try. And then again, the course is you do mechanical, you get that, and then you can graduate and you're good. But then you said a lot of skill sets I think you can get from joining societies and stuff like that can help you. But like you said, I think critical thinking skills like that is very hard to develop unless you have an opportunity.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I feel like if I was in uni, like, you know, in my undergrad, I wish I had taken longer. Like I did it in 4 years, like, you know, like with co-op and everything, but I wish I had taken longer because I think it would really give me time to breathe and like reflect on things because it all happened so fast,
panic,
right?
Like stress right away when after that.
Still be panicked. I don't know if there's a way. I mean, I would be, you know, but I think because this is like people say all the time, such a cliche, this time will never come back. And it's true. Like you're never gonna be in the same setting and with the same people in the same mindset ever again. And having this time to really reflect and see what's going on and have a check-in because you always have like oh, today is this, and then I have this exam, and then I have this event, and then I have that, and then I have to graduate, and then, I have to like live my life. And sometimes we forget to think about what's happening right now.
I feel like it's us right now. Like just like so many things in the last semester.
Yeah,
that
this
you're
is
just like
totally just directed to you.
you're getting that's like a therapy session. Like you gotta breathe.
Yeah, I'll charge at the end of it.
By the way, congratulations on winning the 3-minute thesis Canadian national competition. So for those who don't really know what that is, could you explain what the competition is?
Yes, thank you. So the 3-minute thesis, or they call it 3MT, is a competition where it's like a worldwide competition that happens, and it happened in the fourth space actually last year.
Nice.
Yeah. That's why I know how this mic works. I've used it before.
Now the abbreviation you just said now it makes sense because it all clicks now.
Yeah, 3MT. So it's in this competition, you have to present your thesis, this really complex, really big, really technical thesis in 3 minutes with one static slide to help you. Okay, so you have one slide and you have to present your thesis in 3 minutes and present it in such a way that any audience is able to understand it, like a general audience is able to understand it. And the competition at Concordia, it happens with amongst all the departments. So it's not just engineering specific or, so the competition last year, so it was everyone. And in that competition, I won the master's first prize and the master's people's choice, they call it. So one is voting and one is like the judges. So I won that. Once I won, I went to represent Concordia at the Eastern Regional Competition, which was held in Halifax this year. And there it's like, all the universities from New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland, and Quebec there. So then I won that competition in Halifax.
Yeah.
And then I went to the national competition in Victoria, BC. So then I went there and then all the winners from all the regions were there, for that competition. And then I won that one as well.
Oh my God, amazing.
So that's why I'm the Canadian national champion now.
That's so sick.
Yeah. So all this was also paid by the school. So, so it was a big travel year. So you could do a master's, then you get to travel. All this too. That's all I've been doing, traveling, being funded by the school.
You're slowly starting to convince me with all the travel and these papers.
These awards, like now I gotta.
Hey, if I could do it, so can you.
I'm gonna go find a professor right now.
So what message did you want to convey in the 3-minute thesis?
If you have 3 minutes, you should watch it. But I think for the competition, so I think the competition was like in April, like end of April or something, or May, March or April, and I remember it was very tough because I wanted to participate in the competition, but it's you have to like register in January now because they have like a training process. You have to attend a class and you have to develop your speech. So it's not just like you write your speech, you say it. You have to develop your speech because you have to remember it's 3 minutes. It's not like a presentation where you messed up a little bit. You can just, you could talk and you can flow. This, you need to know what you're talking about and you need to be precise and you need to present all the different aspects of your research very, in an entertaining manner as well, because it's just 3 minutes, but in 3 minutes, you can lose people's focus. So you want to do that. So it's tough. It's really tough, especially making it very general is very tough, especially for researchers who are so used to making things so articulate and scientific. It's very tough. So it's a tough competition. And I did it because I was like, I have nothing to lose. I'm not going to get graded. If I don't do well, I don't do well. What's the big deal, right? That's how I approach life. So
it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right. See, another therapy for you.
Really gonna
write this down.
All the notes.
And it was so I did it and it clearly went a little bit well, Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, after I won, there was a showcase. So I went to represent Canada in the North American showcase where there was like winners from the US, from Canada, and from Mexico in Washington, DC. So that was another trip.
Damn, okay.
And that was really cool as well, But it was really tough time because I had this competition. Then the week after I had my thesis defense, which is a big deal. So you have to defend your thesis. It's like 2 hour like interrogation sort of, and you're talking for 2 hours and thinking for 2 hours. It's really tough. And then after that, I had to go to Australia. So like 2 weeks later, I had to plan my trip to Australia and, go. So
Boom, 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 one after
yeah,
another.
yeah, it was a busy summer, like to say the least, but I'm glad I did it. So my message to people would be just, do the things.
Just do it.
Just
the Nike.
Just
Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Especially for things that you have nothing to lose. And I thought, worst case, I mean, not even worst case, I didn't think of it thinking I would win. And I also didn't know you could go this far in this competition. I honestly had to keep remembering my speech and I'm like so over it.
How many times did you practice? Like a
Or
lot.
just say it.
Oh yeah, I'll count. I have a timer. No, a lot, and with a lot of different people. Like, because when you're on stage and in front of all these people, it's a little bit scary. It's nerve-wracking, and you have a timer going, so you have to be within time. If you're outside of time, you're disqualified. So
I watched your thesis actually.
oh, the 3 minute, yeah.
I thought it was really interesting because I didn't know that the detectors couldn't detect our skin tone. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you need a hook, right?
Yeah.
I'm by no means a soap dispenser expert. It's just I thought that was a good example to
'Cause
make
it's in
people.
everything, like everyday thing we use.
Yeah. She's talking about the first line of my 3 minute thesis, which is, are soap dispensers racist?
Yeah. That's really captivating. Like,
Yeah.
Catchy.
Yeah, and then you want to know, and now you're gonna go watch my 3 minute thesis.
Yeah, now
right?
you really go and
Now you
listen
want
to
to
it.
know. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I didn't even know you could go this far, but it's a good practice because this is your elevator pitch, right? When I want to talk about my thesis, I have this already ready to tell anyone. So that's always great.
No, it's super cool. I honestly, I want to listen to this too because I'm like, also 3 minutes is I feel like a perfect amount of time to if you can narrow
Yeah.
down your research in a good way, like done well, then I
Yeah.
feel like it's super like just catchy, entertaining, and all this. Clearly, you did it in a good way. You made it to all these levels as well. So
yeah, you can
just
post
put a
it
bit on the
on
shoulder.
TikTok.
Oh,
I
there's
don't
3 minutes now
Yeah,
and
there's 3
10
minutes.
minutes now. I'm pretty
I don't
sure.
have TikTok.
Don't do it. You're gonna not
No,
stop.
I don't think I want to. Yeah, no, I'm staying away. I delete my Instagram, like the app.
Mm.
I just use the
The reels.
yeah. Yesterday I had to re-download it to like repost your story, but it's like I just go in the browser to check like if I got messages from my friends. Like that's
Instead of just having, also though, if you were a reels person, the TikTok side is just, it's never ending. I'm telling you, hours. Don't do it. If you
yeah, I know, I
but
know.
you can get people to listen to your stuff very well. Things go viral pretty easily. So
Maybe you guys can post it. I don't know.
It's good for you.
you have 3 minutes on behalf of Women in Engineering Bank Concordia. We'll,
Honestly, you should have like a thing of like where are they now sort of thing,
that's kind of cool.
That's
That'd be
cool.
We
so
have a
fun,
TikTok.
right?
We have a TikTok, yeah.
Oh, you have a TikTok?
We have a TikTok, but we
We
don't.
don't do that. Yeah.
I
No.
mean, just in general, like that would be like a cool like.
That is a cool
That's a
thing.
Oh,
really
like
cool idea.
like this person was part of it, and now they're doing like such cool stuff or something. Like I would love to see
Ooh,
that.
Lynn,
And see
Sonia,
all
you
the past
Guest on
people.
that.
Yeah.
Emilia's face is
inaugurate
like,
it.
whoa, this is such a good idea.
I'm like, we're gonna Lynn, Sonia, everyone on the team, pay attention.
There's a reason you're the former president.
Yeah.
She got the ideas and she's bringing them even when she graduates and leaves.
I know.
Concordia.
I should. Yeah, you should give me some commission on there.
Therapy.
Oh, I saw the
and
wee chalet. Hey.
the
I need
little team
some
bonding.
swag. I need some swag. That's
They're
true.
coming soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
They're-
gonna
they're
for
in
sure.
Development right now.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll reach out and make sure that you'll get your merch from this. so
Okay, good. I still have it on my laptop, like like the wee
sticker.
logo. Yeah, the stickers.
Never let it go. The sticker is just so
Yeah.
blue in there, and it's just like
It doesn't really come off, I'm not gonna lie.
Stuck forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking about another award of yours, you were also the first student to win the GCS EDI award.
Mhm.
Can you explain how this awarded and how this achievement made you feel?
Sure, yeah. So I think they just recently started the GCS EDI award, and that's why I was the first person to get it. And I like people nominate you for this award, like you can't nominate yourself. I mean, sometimes you could, like in certain awards you could, you never know. But this one, people have to nominate you, and I think they do it. I don't know what the criteria is because I'm not on the committee to award this award, but it's about dedication to EDI and doing work in EDI. And you know, because I was part of WI and I was involved in school, and you know, they still have my face everywhere for all these little things. And because I did my research in EDI as well, that's why I think I got this award.
I mean, yeah, you seem pretty fit for
I have a few EDIs, just a few, just a little bit, yeah.
So they started it recently, you said, like, what year?
So I got it last year.
Okay.
So
So really,
Yeah.
yeah, so I got it last year. So but last year they had the ceremony, so that means they had it open the year before. So 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's when they started like the nomination.
Okay.
Maybe they have one now too. So you know, you never know. You can check it out. I don't know. I honestly don't know when it's.
But congratulations anyway.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
And with this being said, are there any specific initiatives you'd like to implement in schools or in the engineering industry to further promote EDI?
That's a big question.
You could take your time with it.
That's a complicated question, right? Because I mean, in general, in school, it's really hard because you don't know what's going on, right? I mean, I found that to be like, what do you think? Do you interact with people from outside of Gina Cody's school?
I think women engineering, just being part of it, allows us to do that. So I think that's like so far one of the best implementations that in the school or in the engineering industry already.
But even at that, I feel like you also don't always interact with like outside besides certain groups. Like we've interacted with JMWL
yeah.
a lot because also women in leadership, women in engineering, like it's
Exactly.
like the same kind of like background with.
Hey, we first started collaborating with them when I was the president.
So this is your doing.
Yeah, actually, we had an event and got canceled the week before because of COVID. That was our first event together.
Well, we're still doing events now.
I'm so glad.
So that's really cool. Our competition's actually with them as well. So it's gonna be
that's
really
amazing.
cool.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy, you guys.
But no, and just in general, we interact with a little bit of like also McGill with like POW and stuff like that. But again,
Right.
it's very focused on like the engineering side mainly, or
Yeah.
the women in like specific programs mainly.
Right.
But I feel like as students, unless you're part of a club, you don't really interact. And some clubs are very technical. Like you have like the Space Concordia, the SAEs and stuff like that, where you're just focusing on, building something or staying within like the bubble, but there's not as many that go like outside.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say unless like you personally kind of go out of your way to do things.
Exactly. It is tough, and I agree, right? Like even I think one of the best things about the 3MT competition was that I got to meet these people and learn about their thesis in like, an entertaining manner that I would have never met otherwise. Like people from arts and sciences and humanities, right? That you might not come across ever. So I think that's one of the difficult things because you don't know what they have going on in terms of EDI and in terms of implementation. And I think their issues in different departments is very different. Like even within engineering, right? In industrial, there's way more women than there might be in mech or, in other fields. So I think this is a very complex question in terms of what you can do and what you can initiate. I think women in engineering is great because of the message that is brought across, but also for people who are not just women to see sort of what's going on, because I think that's like a big thing, right? Like we know there's a problem, right? We're like in it, but there's other people that need to know, and there's other people that need to, everyone needs to know and work towards like this like big thing that we're going through, this thing that we're trying to create, right? So I don't know.
It's like open-ended questions, like what can we do? It's so hard to specify, but
I think so. I mean, well, there's already things to just, I think the problem is also very open-ended in terms of, what do you want to implement? I want to implement all these things, but towards what? There's this like goal to keep in mind, or, this target audience to keep in mind. There's the conference, right? The we inspire, we empower. Do you still call it that?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. See, when I was a VP internal, we came up with that. That was the first year we did the conference.
This is us. We did
I think that was 2018. I still have because I was VP internal, so I would like always like print all the things, and I still have the first booklet we printed for the conference and like,
Good memories.
yeah, it was such a good time. Also, it's a very scary time because the first time you have like all these kids over and there were so many people we would have and it was it's tough, you know how it is.
No,
Yeah.
of course. It's a lot. I think especially
I sent you some photos just so you could also see, you
yeah, I
know?
was noticing you did a lot of different. I know, I'm sure you've met Gina Cody a few times as well, quite a few times, I'm sure.
Yeah.
From like some of the pictures we were seeing too, but it's, I guess, going out there too, and even, seeing you from the beginning, I'm sure for yourself, like I started here and now I'm like in this other position entirely is cool too, no?
Yeah, I mean, I never think of myself like, oh, I started from the bottom now. But I think it's just cool to look back at the old memories and how tough it was to, like start these things and initiate these things, get funding and
Yeah.
all of that. Just like, and now things have changed so much. Like we would have all our meetings in person, and now like, I'm sure you have it online, and
Yeah.
it's different, but it's a different vibe,
Well,
different times.
I'm gonna just say, what are you up to now? Any more awards you're trying to get?
I can't tell you.
No, okay.
No, there's a few things in the works, but I don't want to, mention it
Of course.
right away. I'll wait till it happens. Then you invite me again, and then I'll tell you about it.
Beautiful.
We're already making plans for the future, so.
Always.
Well, thank you so much, Riya, for joining us today on this podcast. This was an amazing conversation, and I hope that all our viewers thought so as well. You're very inspiring, and honestly, the one thing I could take away from you is just go out there, get knowledge about it, and just do it, like you were saying before.
Nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Nothing to
Seriously,
lose.
what do you have to lose at the end? Like you don't have much. Like you really
don't.
you don't have much.
I wouldn't put it that way,
Maybe not
but-
that way, but you don't have much to lose in the sense that like you can try something and if you don't like it, you don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, but if you don't even try, you're never gonna know. Yeah, I'm learning this myself too, so I'm glad it's working out, So thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to. We love it. I remember we'd love doing those puns, like,
Oh,
yeah.
are we?
We still do it a lot.
We still do that.
Yeah, we should.
Every time we said we in like the transcripts of like the text, we're gonna put like we in capital.
Oh yeah.
we every time.
You must. That is how. Yeah, that is how. That should go in like the what is it called? Like the thing that you sign in the beginning.
Like
The-
contract, like, oh,
The-
Yeah, that thing.
people won't understand what that thing is, but we know what we're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you again. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in. And as always, thank you to the Force Space for letting us use their space. Don't forget to check us out at Women Engineering on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for all future events. We'll see you on the next podcast of The Iron Ring.
Okay, so thank you once again to Emilia, Alexandra, Srab, and Riya for coming in today for this conversation. We're going to be going ahead and closing up the Zoom and live stream now, but a quick reminder that this conversation is already available on our YouTube channel if you'd like to revisit or share it. Please join us once again on February 13th for the next Women in Engineering Iron Ring podcast episode here at Fourth Space.